guys. So I want to give it a few seconds and let people come in because it was recommended to me by ChatGPT. Oh, boy. Give me like 2 minutes. And I'm gonna know what time it is. Know what time it is. Have you joined? Um, this is why I recommended for me to wait. Nothing happened. Okay. I said 2 minutes. I lied. I got impatient. I'm ready to jump into this book. Okay, guys. Well, welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. If you just want to know what song that was Miles Davis. It's from his Doo-Bop Sound, or Doo-Bop Song album. It's excellent, honey. My dad used to play it all the time when we were growing up. It's where Miles Davis wanted to fuse jazz with rap. But at one point, let me tell you, one day I'm gonna get to that Miles Davis book. I got like two different books on Miles Davis, his biographies. Let me tell you, Miles Davis wanted to fuse rock and jazz with Jimi Hendrix. Honey, I cry every time I think about it not happening. Oh God, we missed one with Jimi Hendrix leaving. So anyway, let's get to it. Sorry, that was a sidetrack. Let's get to it, you guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Guess what? Hey, you guys, surprise, surprise, here we are. And as always, it's you guys, it's Oreo Jr. Jr. Today he got on his jingle bells because you know it's cold, baby. And he's spunky and hunky today. Yeah, honey. We got Scott, we got me, who then dropped the book and picked it up. And we are here, baby. And don't forget, we got Christopher Pike. We got who we got? We got Teresa. We got Poppy Corn, honey. We got Feed 'em Jack. We got John. We got I forget what the other girl, Candy. We got Candy Baby Daddy. We got everybody. What say you, Scott? Are you ready for this? Are y'all ready for this? Put it in the comment section. Y'all ready for it? Right. Okay, here we go, y'all. Now I think we were getting to the part where Freedom Jack was getting ready to lay out something, So let's see what we got here. It's true what Poppy said, Freedom began. John didn't get out of juvenile hall until after Candy had been at school for 3 weeks. He didn't call her parents to ask for her phone number because he knew they wouldn't give it to him. I mean, well, looking at what happened, I mean, Jesus. He also wasn't sure if he wanted to see Candy right away. And the longer he thought about it, the more certain he was. Uh-oh, he mad at her. He said, girl, he was mad at her. He had spent hours in juvenile hall thinking about how she had taken for granted that he was going to help her cheat on her test. She had done so because she was too lazy to study. Your man got a point there. And because she never thought about his risk. Of course, he hadn't minded helping her until he got caught. But that was just the point. He shouldn't have got caught. I agree. She should have swallowed the cheat sheet the second that Annie, Sally, or whatever her name was, had raised her whiny voice. John had spent an incredible amount of hours thinking about how Candy had frozen at that critical moment. It bugged him. It really did. He only helped her. He only needed to help her that one time, and she let him down. He was also embarrassed to get in touch with her. She was in college, and he was just out of juvenile hall. He wanted to get his life back together before he called her to show her that he had bounced back after a hard rap. Okay, I like his his go get 'em nature. I like it. Even though he was mad, He had every intention of seeing her eventually. He missed her more than he could stand and had many nights in juvenile hall remembering them lying together on the beach. Oh, he really loved her. Scott, if you were in juvenile hall, would you think about me?
Sure.
Okay, Scott.
Well, I mean,
If I did swallow the paper,
I think about it. Yeah, I was kind of wondering how it ended up in juvenile hall.
period. That is a thing. Yeah, that's true. Um, those have been the happiest moments of his life. John's stepdad lied to Candy when he said that John never came home after getting out. John did go home for one day. That was all it took for his stepdad to get on his case, calling him a no good teacher beater. Jesus. Sir. Okay, sir, ain't you beating him? Ain't you beating John? How you gonna be sitting up here talking about somebody beating somebody and you beating him? Lord Jesus, this is a mess. And saying he'd never amount to anything. John repaid him by busting his nose. Period. Juvenile Hall had not approved his tolerance for abuse. It's hard to stay in someone's house once you've broken his nose. On his first day of freedom, John was out on the streets before the sun even set. He didn't have many friends, but he had some. He was able to stay at a few guys' house for a few days. But he had to get a job quick. Yeah, honey, you slumming it and bumming it, baby. You ain't even got a car to sleep in. It's bad. He didn't want to go back to the garage where he had worked before. He didn't want to do anything he had done before. He wanted to start fresh, stay out of trouble, and make $1 million so he never had to kiss anyone's ass. I like this man's go get him nature. I do. Go get him. Go get him, John. Honey, go get him. At 19, John was already tired of being pushed around. Honey, just get ready to stay tired, baby, because it just life like that. He got a job at a bakery. It wasn't an ordinary mom and pop place. It was a bakery for one of the largest food chains in the Western United States. The place was gigantic, several football fields long. You couldn't get up within a mile of it and not smell the baking dough. Ooh, honey, that sounds good. That sound like heaven a little bit. Let me tell y'all, we got this chocolate shop here. It smells like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. Child, like before you even walk in, it's just like, oh, honey. Put it down in the comment section if y'all got something like that. It turned you on by just smelling it. You like, ooh. Y'all got something like that where y'all at? Okay. Sorry, I got sidetracked. You couldn't work there and not smell like yeast. The place was hot. It felt like it never got below 100 degrees inside. But the work had its advantages. Yeah, you probably lose a lot of weight. It sounds like a sauna. I need that kind of job, child, so I can lose some weight. First, it was a union job, and the pay was better than most places. Second, he could work the graveyard shift and have most of his days free to do whatever he wanted. Okay, period. Make it work. Make it work, baby. Finally, the job they put him on was easy. The bakery had 5 machines that sealed various baked goods in plastics, like rolls, danishes, stuff like that. John's job was to take the machine apart and clean it. It got clogged pretty quick. The guy who had the job before John must have been a goof off. The head of the bakery, his name was Tyler, believed that if a guy worked his tail off, he could clean all 5 machines in 8 hours. Of course, John was good with machines. He wasn't working at the bakery more than 2 weeks when he got his job down to 3 hours. Period. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. That meant he could take 5 hours off if he could stay out of sight and at the same time give the impression that he was busy with his machines. Like I said, the bakery was huge. It had its own shower room on the upper level, but none of the employees used the shower. The architect who designed the plant didn't realize that when a guy got off work, he didn't want to hang around any longer than he had to. He could take a shower at home easily. John would come at 11 at night, and by 2 in the morning, he'd have his machine sparkling clean and ready for another day of cinnamon rolls. Then he would heap on up to the showers and hide in the stall reading, listening to tapes, or taking a nap. Where the hell is this job at for me? Hell, for anybody. Sure, occasionally one of the night janitors would find him crashed out, but these guys had no love for the company. They admired a guy who could get his work done and take time off, honey. I'm with the janitor show. I admire that. Wait, sorry, y'all, real quick. Sorry, let me just check some out real quick. Okay, this might be a two-parter chapter because it's a long one. Okay, John was out here, baby. John was doing it.
Right.
Doing a lot, honey. Okay, anyway. Um John had it pretty good at the bakery in the beginning, but things were not so great outside in the world. He got himself a small apartment in a cheap part of town, and that was okay. John never cared where he laid his head, as long as there wasn't someone around who was going to wake him up with a kick in the ear. Guess he talked about his stepdaddy. But it was only during the day that John had learned that to what length his chemistry teacher had gone to keep him out of getting into a decent college. See, John figured he would work full time for a few months, get a little money together, and then go off to school. His first choice was University of San Francisco. Sir, do you know you have a record? Sir, just start off at a damn community college until you kind of, you gotta dig your way out the hole, baby. You in a hole, you just don't know it yet. He figured he'd be able to meet or be able to see Candy as much as he wanted. Yet he hadn't even called her, but he was planning how he was going to spend the next 4 years with her, or however long it took for them to graduate. Candy ain't graduating, but we'll get to that. But the university wrote him back with a stern letter of rejection. He next applied to UC Santa Cruz. Again, another school not far from Berkeley. He got the same kind of rejection letter. It made him wonder. He did some investigative work and learned that not only had all the universities in California been contacted by Mr. Sims, but all the state colleges as well. John couldn't believe it. Well, baby, you better. That man do not like you, honey. All that was left were a bunch of junior colleges, which is what the hell I just said. Just go to community college, get it off the ground, baby, and then go. Then go. Then you got some people to vouch for you. You ain't thinking. You trying to move too fast, but you're thinking too slow, baby. His plans were in ruins. I said he often spent his free time at work goofing off, but he also spent a lot of time studying the subjects he needed to become an engineer: math, physics, chemistry. He figured he could catch up in no time at all. But all that was out of the question, at least for the time being. That's the way he thought. Sure, you could say he was overreacting. He could have gone to a junior college and worried about getting into a 4 year school when the time came. But he didn't want to do that because he didn't want to have to call Candy at big important Berkeley and tell her that he was taking a few classes at Citrus Junior College. So you want to tell her that you ain't going to school? Like, I don't understand where the levels are and how your pride works. Because this is just pride. This is just your ego, sir. Anyway, I mean, he had his pride. And there's nothing wrong with a guy having pride. Uh-huh. More overtime was offered at work, and because John had nothing else to do, he took it. Rather than going in at 11, he started at 6 in the evening. He didn't know that Tyler, the head of the bakery, and a staunch company man usually worked to 7 or 8. This was the first time the two began to have regular contact. Tyler initially liked John. I feel like this is foreshadowing for something bad. What say you, Scott?
Yeah, when they say initially, that probably means things change.
John getting all this extra money with overtime and not paying for school, use it for therapy. Go on, you take it, sir. Get on Psychology Today. Go under the link, find my therapist, and go on it and link yourself up with a therapist, sir. They ain't have it back then because this is the 90s, but I'm just saying. During the extra hours, he put John on another one of the plus year jobs. John was given a list of what the supermarkets wanted, and he'll go around to collect the stuff. 40 boxes of donuts, 50 boxes of rolls, 100 loaves of bread, and so on. I need that job. That's shopping. And it ain't even my money. That's shopping. I would love that. Then at 11, with Tyler gone, John would clean the machines and take the rest of the night off. The overtime paid double. He couldn't complain. So you had enough money to get a therapist, sir. John often took his first break when Tyler was about to leave. Tyler had been a Marine, which should have set off warning bells in John's mind right away. John had never done well with people who were into authority and discipline. Oh Lord, John, honey, we know, and this is how you ended up here. But okay, girl. But John could be respectful when it suited him. And Tyler saw in John a kid who had a few lousy breaks, but who was bouncing back. The two spent a lot of time talking about sports, boxing in particular. John really enjoyed a good fight, and boxing was a second religion to Tyler. Tyler, in fact, had boxed in the Marines. Okay. He was built like a tree stump. John laughingly thought to himself that there was no way he was ever going to take a punch at this guy. John didn't get his plushy overtime every day. Now and then, the conveyor belts that carried the bread pans away from the oven would break down. When this happened, Tyler would grab whoever was handy and have them manually unload the pans into racks so they wouldn't all start piling up. Working right beside the oven was intense. The temperature would had to be over 120, maybe 130. The pans themselves were very hot. When you were put on the hell detail, that's what it was called. You had to wear damp gloves with sleeves attached that reached all the way to the top of your arms. If you so much as bumped your arm with the pan after taking it off the conveyor belt, it sizzled a nice little black hole in your skin. Ew, girl, but that's a dangerous job. But the long gloves were a pain. The arm covers were so loose and slid down all the time, leaving your arms exposed. The pans didn't even need to touch your skin to cause third-degree burns. They radiated so much heat. John hated the hell detail with a passion. But Tyler began to use him on it more frequently because the oven belt was breaking down more often, and also because John was quick. John could unload the bread pans faster than anybody. Sir, so remember when you said the person before you must have been terrible and they was moving slow and it took them 8 hours? They probably did that on purpose. It's called pacing yourself. Scott, do you know anything about pacing yourself? Do y'all know anything about pacing yourself? It's called pacing yourself. If you give so fast, they're going to expect everybody to do it. So you quick. So now they're going to put you on hell detail. I learned that in the military. Okay. When you too good, they always want you. Don't be too good. And I'm just saying if they're like bad jobs you don't want. I'm not saying for everything. Like if it's something you want, be too good, honey. Okay. Okay, so where was I? At breaks, though, he would have to drink a gallon of water just to keep from getting dehydrated. He began to wonder if the overtime was worth it. John was not only quick, he was clever. After working the hell detail a number of times, he began to see just how inefficient it was. Men should not be doing what machines could do better, he thought, period. He examined the conveyor belt and saw that they kept breaking down for one very simple reason. Too much dough was slopping off the sides of the pans as they traveled through the oven. John reasoned that if this slop could be cut down, the conveyor belts would break down only occasionally. John's smart. I like John. I like this little boy. He got a lot of oomph in him. I like it. He figured a couple of metal scrapers situated at the receiving end of the oven would solve the problem. He worked on making them in his free time, late at night, using spare parts. He nice, because I wouldn't have been doing all that. He tried his innovation out when no one was around. Invention was too big of a word. They were just metal bars that cleaned and steered the pans as they went by. But as far as John could see, they worked great. Period, John. You better copyright it. You better trademark it. Make your money. That's how you're going to become a millionaire. He installed them without permission and looked forward to the next day when he could take credit for his handiwork. I feel like we did something without asking the boss, and this shit just gonna go left. What say you, Scott? What say you guys?
Like that's what's gonna happen.
Like, sir, you can't just be installing stuff on their machines. Maybe they want their machines to break. Maybe they were waiting for it to break one final time so they could get some insurance money, and here you are. I feel like this is gonna go bad, but let's see here. But John decided during the night that he could wait and let his bars do the job before taking credit for them. This they did over the next month. The conveyor belt didn't break down once, and there was no need for Tyler to yank people off their usual jobs and put them on the hell detail. The odd thing was, during all this time, nobody asked who installed the new bars. Nobody gives a damn, so he ain't trying to pay you extra. Not even Tyler. John wondered at that until one evening when he was taking a break and Tyler was just about to leave for the day. It was then John got one lesson in human nature. Oh, what did he learn here? Scott, what do you think he learned? You guys, in the comment section, put what you think he learned. John be learning the wrong lessons. What you think he learned, Scott?
I don't know. Learned that people don't appreciate things you do.
Probably took credit for it. John was sitting alone in the corner of the break room eating a bag full of fruit. Sandwiches used to be his staple, but since he had begun to smell like the Pillsbury Doughboy, he couldn't eat bread or anything with flour in it. That makes sense. If you smell something too much or eat too much or something, you get sick of it. I used to work at a mall food court, and let me tell you, for about 10 years after working there, I did not eat Cinnabon. And that sounds like a crime, but when you had as much Cinnabon as I had working in that mall, child, 10 years. John was just about to open his mouth when Tyler told the workers that he had the bars installed to scrape the bread pans so the conveyor belt wouldn't jam so often. Tyler puffed his chest as he spoke. Oh, Lord Jesus, this is just bad. Lord, here go that ego. He said he decided to fix the problem himself and be done with it. Yes, Tyler, you better take it, baby. The men around him nodded appreciatively. A couple even suggested that Tyler should get a patent on the bars, to which Tyler laughed as if that wouldn't be a bad idea. Duh! You should have called me. You should have called me, John. I could have helped you. It was then John opened his mouth. He said, "Hey, I was the one who installed those bars. I was the one who figured out what the problem was. What are you talking about?" I feel like this is the wrong way to approach it. What say you, Scott? What do you guys think? This is not a good way. Okay. Okay, John, let's end up back in prison, baby. Once you've been there once, I guess you gotta go back. John like to be in jail because I feel like he ain't in control of that temper still. Okay, now. Should somebody swallow the bars to hide them from this man? To keep you out of jail this time? The room fell silent. John had just made Tyler out to be a liar and a braggart at the same time. Some of the men who worked for Tyler for several years and knew how tough he was and how he didn't like to be embarrassed ever. They knew that John would be fired, but John saw none of this. He young. It was just like the time Mr. Sims came straddling over towards him in chemistry class. John thought he could open his mouth and explain the situation and everything would be right. But John made the situation what he opened when he opened his mouth, and he had just made a big one. Yet Tyler didn't say anything to John. He just stared through him and left the lunchroom. The rest of the room went back to eating, and John finished his apples and didn't give it much thought. Okay, so it didn't go that bad. Who would have thought? Okay, well. I see this as a good thing. Scott don't think it's good. He just groaned. You guys think it's a good thing. I know you do. A couple of weeks later, John lost his job cleaning the wrapping machines and filling the orders for individual stores. He was moved into the hot dog machine. The hot dog machine didn't actually make hot dogs, of course. It was a complicated arrangement of metal fingers and slamming bars that worked to keep the preformed dough in the proper grooves in the steel pans so they could grow into nice bundles of 8 connected, fluffy hot dog buns. I feel like that was a lot of sentence just to tell you about this machine. The job was worse in some ways than working besides the oven. It was noisy and it was dangerous. The operator of the hot dog machine, there was usually 2 of them at a time, were responsible for keeping the minimum number of buns in the metal grooves. In other words, the people were there to straighten up anything the machine had missed, which was plenty. Sir, you better fix this damn machine too. The danger came when you tried to mix metal fingers with human fingers. But that was exactly what the hot dog machine operator had to do his entire shift. He was always darting in and around pans filled with white dough and steel prawns. It was a good place to lose a finger. John hated the job. Hell, I hate the job. Why are we losing fingers? They ain't got no like chain mail you could put on and stick your finger in there. I would want some chain mail, like what knights used to wear back in the day. I need some metal. Metal need metal. He was no fool and knew why he had been reassigned. Or maybe he was a special kind of fool. I say he was a special kind of fool. He wanted to show up Tyler again for all the good the first demonstration had done him. He was not working with the hot dog machine a week when he figured out how to make it more efficient. Sir, stop touching that shit. Just stop. Stop touching that shit. Don't touch the machines. Because every time you do it, you get in trouble. Just stop. Stop. The buns were sticky before they went in the oven, which was natural. They were made of flour and water. It was the stickiness that kept them from resting in the proper grooves. John figured if the buns could be dried just a little before they went into the oven, they would rest happier. Maybe you should turn the oven on and proof them. Next to the hot dog bun oven was the donut oven, which had a row of fans along one side to take off the excess heat. The donut oven was always overheating, which was not good, even for an oven. This man sounds like he needs to get his equipment like tuned up or calibrated. Like, why is all this stuff just not working? Why are people losing fingers? I'm not trying to get hot dog buns and find a finger in there. That's so weird. What John did was redirect the conveyor belt that brought the uncooked hot dog rolls so they went by the hot air. Then, by the time they got to the hot dog machine, they were semi cooked and much easier for the machine to handle. John did all this work late at night without getting permission from Tyler because he wanted to show the bastard up, make it clear who was the inventive genius. Once again, John was able to cannibalize parts. It wasn't much more difficult than setting up a train set. Naturally, Tyler immediately knew about the change. John had half expected the jerk to come to have it torn down right away. But Tyler left the conveyor belt's new turn up long enough to prove its usefulness. John began to think maybe he wasn't such a bad sort after all. He is, sir. This is not gonna go well. And I feel like you doing it backwards. You're doing the fixing without asking permission. I feel like you should ask permission, then fix. Then you could have demanded money and everything. You doing it wrong. But he's also like 19, so Tyler called John into his office. He started by asking John if he was responsible for the reworking of the hot dog roll line. And John said, yeah. Tyler asked why he had done it, and John quickly explained the logic behind it. In fact, John blabbed on about how it was working great and that it was no longer necessary to have two people work it. Tyler appeared interested. He asked John to accompany him unto the floor and demonstrate how much less attention the machine needed. John thought it was a curious request. It was easy to demonstrate how you had to do something. I'm going to stop there. We're going to stop right there. We're going to have this one. So, okay, don't forget, because I'm going to come back tomorrow. We are going on the floor to show Tyler our new fixer-upper thingy. Okay? Because it's a lot more pages than this, because it's going to get crazy. Okay, what did you learn, Scott? What did you guys learn? Put it down in the comment section if you learned anything, because we got to finish the other section of it.
Learning that, like you said, there's a certain way about going about things. You
can't just do what you want. This ain't Cartman, okay? This ain't Cartman. I want to, I guess, piggyback on it. There's a certain way of going about things. And I had to learn this too. And this is why I got so much grace, because he's 19. There's a certain way of going about things. But also, if you see that you got a bad temper and you recognize you got a bad temper and you see this pattern of you doing the same thing over again, because he's saying that, stop and go get some damn therapy, or stop and don't keep repeating the pattern if it's taking you in directions you don't want to go. Because I feel like we going in the direction we don't want to go. And we going to find that out tomorrow. What Annie say? It's only a day away, baby. Huh? Yeah. Okay, where the Oreo Jr. go? Okay, so we are going to bid you guys adieu, because I got to come back and do Sunday Fun Day School. So, with that, thank you guys for coming. We always love having you. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe, comment if you like. And from wherever we are to wherever you are, peace, love, happiness. Get them a rinky dinky dink. And we'll see you shortly. Bye, guys. Bye.